Yeah, we suck right now. The culture is actually like, I'm just praying for the Lord to deliver me from the pick sixes.
As the new NFL season officially begins with the start of free agency, there are unfortunately some things we must go over. New rules. As with most things the league has done, it's allegedly meant to improve the game, but some of them have led to more controversy than not. One of these changes that totally won't cause this is the banning of the hip drop tackle. Any infraction called by officials will now be 15 yards and an automatic first down. Another judgment call penalty and a league plagued by them. Oh, wonderful. The replay booth can now review instances of roughing the passer and intentional grounding. But knowing how well the pass interference reviews went, my hopes aren't high. What could be ironically useful are the new kickoff rules. They had to do something about them. The kickoff had been relegated to nothing but touchbacks for the most part. If you watch the XFL this past year, there'll be a slightly modified version of them. The kicker kicks off at his 35-yard line, and the kickoff special teams line up at the opposing 40. All but two players on the return team line up at the 35-yard line, not to move until the ball is received by a returner. The goal for the kicking team is to hit it in the landing zone, between the 20 and the goal line. If a ball lands or goes out of the end zone for a touchback, the ball is spotted at the 30-yard line. If it goes out of bounds, it's spotted at the 40 like it was before. Onside kicks also must be declared, thus eliminating surprise onside kicks. We'll definitely be complaining about these things in the future, but their newest gift to us comes with 2 games on Christmas. Wednesday football is back after a 4-year hiatus. The NBA is seething in the corner. The New Orleans Saints are on the carousel from hell. They keep trying to do the same things over and over, yet expect different results to occur. The last few years were any indication, they won't. There will be more restructuring, more kicking the can down the road, more aging parts that have to be kept up for appearances. Except Michael Thomas and Andrew Speed, they're just gone. New Orleans does get some new toys to play with at the minimum. Super Bowl champion Willie Gay and Cedric Wilson as a depth wideout. And don't forget about Chase Young. He may not be the same after a torn ACL, but getting a name brand like him is always a good thing. Chase is even talking about the proud culture of the Saints as to why he came here. That's football speak for they paid him the most money. I know that language from anywhere.
The New Orleans Saints select Tolaise Fuaga, tackle, Oregon State.
Peanut butter and jelly. That's the best comparison to make between the Saints and their need at tackle. Ryan Ramczyk might be forced to retire due to injuries, and Trevor Penning hasn't panned out. Tolaise Fuaga was the best on the board for their gigantic sinkhole at the position. They did just throw a lot of money at Derek Carr last offseason, you know. Maybe a futile effort trying to shore up a drooping foundation with mud and sand, but you can't just give up. People are stubborn. Trust me, I know from experience. Why do we waste time on the Saints these days? We already know what's gonna happen. We'll have some modest type to start the year, hideously underachieve despite the talent on their roster, and then magically go on a run of form to end the season, fucking themselves out of a top pick and missing the playoffs. Greatest bounty of mid in the league today. What should give me hope? Derek Carr becoming the most hated man in Louisiana? Dennis Allen somehow still having a job in 2024? Hoping Chase Young finally lives up to potential? The increasingly injury-prone and aging roster? Michael Thomas is already gone and Ryan Ramczyk's career may be over. We wish Mickey Loomis's career was over, but that isn't happening. You will accept the withering of your old guard while holding on to 2010 as it evaporates in your hands. Where's the youth? Pete Werner got extended and Chris Olave's a beast, but anything else? Sad part is, with how pathetic their division is, they'll delude themselves into thinking they just need one more piece. What they really need is an exorcism or a generational draft class pronto. As you can tell, things are a bit less linear than in the past. New suitors are eager to stake the claim from the usual suspects. Yet the ones at the top will only relinquish such honor from their cold, lifeless hands. I think this year is a little of both. The NFC East has always been a conference that changes hands every year, so the Eagles will reclaim it for themselves. As for the NFC North, different story. I say Detroit reclaims it, but a few teams are hot on their tail. The NFC South, the conference we wish could be a race, goes to Atlanta simply by no Arthur Smith. And the NFC West, barring horrific injury, will be San Francisco's to lose yet again. Wild cards are a much trickier guess. Yet I believe that Green Bay, Dallas, and Chicago take them. There are more than a few teams that I consider for these 3 spots, so I'm not dismissing them at all. But the NFC's just weird like that. It'll probably be wonkier than I expect. thought things were bad for the Panthers last season? Oh boy, do I have a lemon of a Carr to sell to you. Ever wonder why Carolina never played their starters for a huge chunk of the preseason? They might have needed to. I'm not even joking, they look like they could get mauled by a Division III team. Defanged and fucking terrible everywhere. New Orleans became Luigi and won by doing nothing. Bryce Young isn't just broken, he's melted into goddamn goop. He's become Achilles Smith, it's that bad. Even in garbage time they were depanced in real time. I can't even gauge the Saints since Carolina's so bad that they make a flag football team look competent. At this rate, Dave Canales will be canned tuna by week 8 and Bryce traded for a 6th round pick. Charlotte's mostly Steelers transplants anyway, so no one gives a shit about it. Panthers got mollywogged on national television to a hated rival and look to be unable to grasp even the basics of football. Surely it can't get worse than this, we say. But it did get worse. The best player on their defense is now most likely out for the season. Derek Brown's a beast and now he's going under the knife for meniscus surgery. We're now on 0-17 watch with these fuckers. And it still might get worse. Come week 12, David Tepper will be throwing cups of acid at people. Excuse me, are the Saints good? A high-flying offense that destroys secondaries in their wake? I don't know if it's sustainable, but I don't care. Pete Carmichael needs to be extradited from Argentina and charged with war crimes. The same weapons are doing so much better in Clint Kubiak's system. Derek Carr actually looks like the quarterback that was advertised to Louisiana. Alvin Kamara's destroying worlds with his feet once again. This unit can't be stopped on any of their first 6 drives. I'm gonna be cautious though. To be fair, it's very, very easy to look elite when your opponents are the Panthers and Hans Zimmer's senile cousin. Seriously, someone looked at their elite defense and said, you know what this team needs? Mike Zimmer. Cowboys had no chance. This was a walloping from the starting gun. Dallas got outclassed by New Orleans of all teams. Just a sneak preview of them in January. Nick Sirianni is a fucking hack. This game proved it repeatedly. A game I was expecting to be a shootout devolved into the football equivalent of cancer. The Saints were done early. It happened the moment Derek McCoy went down with injury on the first drive. After that, Philly's defense put a surprisingly hot unit in a vice grip with blitzes ahoy. There was nothing for the most part. So why is this anywhere close? Nick Sirianni. The Eagles wanted to secure a game achievement for the most self-destructive plays in 60 minutes. In the red zone, Jalen's gonna earn his keep by throwing a terrible pick. Don't think that's all. Here's a fumble in Saints territory to add to it. What about getting greedy and not taking points to tie before half? That was bad enough. Go for it again in Saints territory. Shockingly, they failed again. And add to all of it with a blocked punt. If it weren't for the Saints doing the same stupid aggressive shit and Saquon being Saquon, this would be more embarrassing than it already is. Yet to add more grease to this fire, Devontae Smith was knocked out with a nasty concussion. All of Philly now wants Peyton Turner hanged outside of Independence Hall. This defense can't hold forever. And Nollins kicks a field goal to go down 1. So why not finally use Jake Elliott after getting a melange here on the sidelines? By making him try a 60-yarder? Let me say a term you should be using soon, Nick. Please pull up to the first window. And Darius Slay was slain in battle too, so it's gonna make it harder. Bad news. The Saints offense finally did something. A touchdown to a wide-open Chris Olave. Horrifying. This game shouldn't be anything resembling a loss. But then we remember that Philly threw everything in the luck attributes.
Trying to get some of it back. They'll get plenty. Dallas Goedert is wide open. Down the sideline. Inside the 10. First and goal for Philly.
I don't think the Saints intended that to be a 60-yard pass, but they'll take it. The high-end talent bailing out idiotic decision-making from a cloud. What a glorious day. New Orleans, with chances to prove themselves among the elite, can't get it done and lose one of the more frustrating games they've had in a bit. Wow, Eagles, I'm so proud of you. You barely scraped by a team you should have crushed by at least 20. Jalen Carter and CJ Gardner-Johnson are out here shit-talking nonstop when this team is lucky to even be escaping with a win. This team is becoming more and more unlikable as time passes. And the head of the snake is the fool in charge of the team. Fire him. Now. It's the only way things improve. Rivalry that only the South respects. Falcons and Saints eager to get back to their winning ways. Two stubborn foes that refuse to budge for the other. In the painful sense. There's a reason why I'm not hot in New Orleans. There are at least 3 or 4 games a year the Saints piss away by unforced errors, derps, fuck-ups, or hypothetical acts of God. Guess what happened? Muff puns to offer a tasty New Orleans treat to all of Georgia. Derek Carr reminding Saints fans why they all hated his guts last season, with a deflected pass right to the hands of an opportunistic pick six. It's another brutally aggravating performance harkening to days of 2023. New Orleans has all but shut down the Falcons' offense, and they're doing it without Demario Davis as their field general. They are the better team, but they keep getting in their own way. Even with the lead in reach, they practice restraint and choose not to take it. It doesn't matter the situation or scenario. If it's a 3-and-out or a failed 4th-down conversion in the red zone, the Saints will march to their doom. Yet there's a beacon of light. Chris Olave is a beast, and momentum is finally turning their way. The Saints do it. They score a critical touchdown to take the lead. Up by 1, all they need is a defensive stop. Yet what's the final concoction? Pass interference on the defense. Gotta allow the receiver to catch the ball. Sorry, Adebo. That's the dagger assassinating this Saint. Here come the Falcons to steal away another game. And they embrace it.
Younghoe Koo from 58. It is good.
Put some respect on the damn name. Atlanta Legends legend Younghoe Koo. Driving a 58-yard kill shot to upend a team shooting themselves in the foot. New Orleans keeps getting opportunities to emerge into the elite, yet they keep failing without fail. The line doesn't make sense? Well, neither does New Orleans. The Saints' hype train died last week. In Kansas City, it was chucked into a mass grave of pigs and set ablaze. When the team comes to Arrowhead, the only reward for a high-flying offense is to be bricked. Blue-screened by a relentless and malignant Spagnolo virus. New Orleans could do next to nothing with the ball. Sure, they'll keep it close with a traditional deep bomb to Shaheed, but what else did they have? Not just featuring an elite defense, the Chiefs are equipped with plot armor and MacGuffins. Are they in a perilous situation? Unbelievable bullshit will get them out of it. Call it the Taylor Swift effect. Juju may have looked terrible in New England, but with an enchantment spell, he'll once again thrive. Kareem Hunt washed, maybe to get over 100 yards rushing. Honestly, the Saints are lucky this was only a 13-point game. It should have been so much worse. In fact, I think this calls for literal pain. Derek Carr has to go into the shot. It's over. Just lie down and let the Chiefs pummel you. They're 5-0 for a reason, but at least we got a thick pick out of it. Kalen Saunders just made tractor trailers smile somewhere out there. Their darkest hour, the best quarterback in the 2024 NFL Draft will be making his long-awaited debut. No, not Drake May, but Spencer Rattler. He will hold his own. Barely. Too bad the rest of the Saints franchise got ran over by the same car that took out their QB. Tampa Bay was eager for blood. They had to evacuate for the cesspool on Tuesday morning, and hotel beds are a pain in the ass. The Bucs will roar out to a 17-point lead since New Orleans remembered their head coach is Dennis Allen. But then things got fucky. Rashid Shaheed pulled off a punt return for the ages, and Baker decided to imitate famous Jameis with receivers that can't catch for some reason. Before you know it, the Saints had the lead? How? How the hell are they leading at half? Someone give the Bucs a Snickers. They aren't themselves without it. That definitely worked. Tampa Bay came into the second half after gaining energy and burst their opponent into the ether. Spencer got rattled. Tampa Bay incinerated everything like hell itself, and the Saints defense curled up into the fetal position. I know New Orleans is dealing with injury, but giving up almost 600 yards of offense? Are you fucking kidding me? Remember when everyone was crowning them as contenders after beating Carolina on a Mike Zimmer defense? Well, they've lost 4 straight since then with no end in sight. It's standard Saints fare, showing an appearance of holiness while being as bland and brittle as a communion wafer. Tampa Bay proved themselves as better. To get rid of the sloppiness, and the division should be for the crew. Ugh, this was fucking horrible. Sean Payton's revenge game had all the spark of a wet fart. Everything in this game sucked. Bo Nix sucks, Spencer Rattler sucks, the presentation sucks, and the Saints suck so badly that they've set football back 100 years. There's no defending this. This is a lot more than injuries. The whole operation is FUBAR. The performance was so bad the entire team should line up in midfield and commit seppuku. Especially Dennis Allen. His master plan is to burn his final timeout after gaining 8 yards in 2 plays to take a knee to go into halftime? The clock was already running, Dennis. What the fuck? Oh, we have to look beyond the results. So what do we discuss? The defense that only stops its ability to give a shit of the fact that they're in a crematorium. They gave up over 200 yards rushing to the Broncos. Denver. The Saints were in throwback uniforms and they lived up to that by going back to the days of the Aints. Peyton may as well be named Walter because he turned his team into the '85 Bears. Remember the first 2 weeks of the year? That's going to be Nola's highlight montage for 2024. Everything else is as bad as the Broncos being 4-3. They are most definitely a team. I've also run out of things to say about New Orleans. They were dead long before they got to LA, and they were somehow even more dead by the time this game was over. All the Chargers had to do was breathe, and their hollowed-out opponent would kill at first resistance. Hell, the Saints defense was doing everything in their power to nudge this team to their first win in over a month. Nathan Shepard tried to earn a bounty for taking out Justin Herbert with a cheap shot. It was a tight game. There was a 10% chance that chargering would occur. Then the levee breaks. Vlad McConkey raced all over that field in the second half, and just like that, Nola's season's all but over. 6 losses in a row. The Bills come due. Years of kicking the can down the road has left this team old and decrepit. All I hope is that they don't blame it on injuries again and repeat the Sisyphean boulder rolling. Knowing Loomis, he probably will. Dennis Allen's rearranging deck chairs at QB, but what's the difference between shit and a different hue of shit? Free wins for everyone in the AFC West. Denver and Liquid LA, birds of a feather. There aren't many of these gimme matchups in the NFL. Take it and run, boys. New Orleans certainly isn't. A big event happened on Tuesday. Something that will shake the core of this nation for a long time to come. The people have spoken, and a new leader is making his way to DC. I'm obviously talking about Marshawn Lattimore. He's back on a playoff contender that desperately needed secondary help. And for only a 3rd and 4th rounder, the price wasn't super steep. Who knew that going from the Saints to fucking Washington would be salvation? It's like we're back in the 80s again. Just watch, Dallas goes back to being a basement dweller next. Here lie 2 dead franchises before you. One has been rotting away in the corner for years. The other's been using necromancy to try and keep themselves alive, yet failing miserably at it. All the cap spells and restructures of men have lost their potency. What you get are 2 really bad football teams. 2 groups that need wins to give themselves something. Anything, really. Carolina, at least, is just terrible. The Saints are pretending they aren't. And it's an uncomfortably close contest for them. Nola's ability to generate yards upon yards of offense is doing nothing since they can't convert them into points. Back and forth it goes, and we all hope the Panthers win for the sake of laughter. Their defense is somewhat doing what they need to do, yet the Saints offense is reminding us all how the first 2 weeks were an outright fluke. Honestly, it'd be pretty funny if they lost to a bottom feeder. Perfect. One starting a broken Bryce Young, of all things. They're allowing him to perform competently with long passes and pass interference penalties. Good for him. He deserves something positive in this world. Serves these stubborn Saints executives right.
And Hubbard slides through the defense, breaks through the 5, toward the end zone, slides in safely.
You want us to take you seriously as a franchise and you're out here losing to the Panthers? The team on pace for one of the worst point differentials in league history. Don't you dare blame injuries for this bullshit. Carolina's just as battered as New Orleans is. It's fucking over, Saints. You're lower in the standings than a 5-alarm fire. You've lost 7 in a row. The team's a vegetable in hospice. Chris Olave suffered his 6th concussion in 5 years as Derek Carr's giving him the Austin Collie treatment. Just pull the damn plug. Trade Marshawn to a real team so he can have a chance to win again. And then send Dennis Allen with a canoe into the Gulf. Forgive them, Lord, for they have sinned against you. We all sat around wondering why Dennis Allen lasted this long. He sucked in Oakland and he more than sucked in New Orleans. Loyalty is a dangerous vice in the NFL. The Saints more than proved that with how much of a train wreck their season's been. They took my advice about the canoe. Here's a paddle. Start rowing into the Gulf, Dennis. Excommunicated to a life drifting in the abyss of defensive coordinator jobs. Since Sean Payton's left, Allen's always had that placeholder vibe. Like a Madden-generated coach with no special attributes who was just there to fill a spot. One with no real reason to be there besides pretending that they're competitive. Did he make a really good shrimp boil or something? Certainly wasn't guiding a locker room. He lost that shit a while ago. Another placeholder and special teams coach Darren Reese will be interim to drag this corpse to the end. This is Nola's legacy. Bitching about ref ball and stubbornly believing they were just a Derek Carr away from truly competing. Now the hounds of hell have come. The fans are finally celebrating. The delusions are crashing down. Time to finally bite the bullet, ain'ts. Hopefully with a complimentary firing via promotion from Mickey Loomis. Fucking hate you, Atlanta. Can you give the slightest attempt at being normal? At any damn time? Please, I want to legitimize you as having a shot at doing something in January, yet you end up pulling this prank? New Orleans is dead. Not only down for the count, but still deluding themselves that the house isn't on fire and they're not burning alive. This should have been an outright slam dunk to further solidify the division lead. Yet New Orleans was always one step ahead, with their best receiver being Marquez Valdez fucking Scantling. Endless opportunities to take advantage of a reeling defense, and all they get out of it is a blocked field goal. Atlanta's defense clamped down in the second half. They're only down by 10. A team with their firepower should easily find a way to win, yet they don't. They don't come close. Endless failure and ineptitude. Doinked away like another field goal to tie. Repeated frustrations with everything within reach, yet they lob their own hands off with a guillotine and throw picks. One final chance to avoid embarrassment, and what do the Falcons do? They clog the fucking toilet on a 4th and 4. Darren Reese merely symbolized the constipation that their offense would have all game. And it cost them dearly here. The Saints, after endless blessings from the Pope, get a moral victory to stop the bleeding. Atlanta's rivals now have a chance to capitalize, especially those in red and black. New Orleans is doing it again. They're rattling off a few wins when it doesn't matter and deluding their executive branch into thinking being competitive is just a few less injuries away. If you didn't expect this surge to another 8-win season, I don't know what to tell you. Famous Jameis is returning to the place he made delicious turnovers in and baked an outright gem. Almost 400 yards of passing in a near immaculate day. If the Browns don't get in their own damn way at every opportunity, or if their kicker could make a damn field goal. It's tied at 14 in the second half, but unfortunately this is where Cleveland's hopes begin and end. Today's superhero on the bayou is a simple man. A Swiss Army knife that can kill you in 12 different ways. We call him Taysom Football. What's his favorite position? Obviously football. The Browns defense couldn't stop him whatsoever. The throwback to 2019 terrorizing Cleveland in every way possible. Don't look now, but the Saints are marching back to hell. 4-7 and the rest of their division is imploding on itself. Oh Lord, the terrible hope. New Orleans doesn't need any more foolish ambitions. Witness two franchises that need this win more than a human being needs air. An oasis in a desert of attrition and agony. The Saints and Rams in a winner-take-all matchup. Definitely hasn't happened before, right? What hasn't, though, is New Orleans' misery. Touchdowns to Alvin Kamara undone by an ineligible man downfield penalty. Counter that with a low block to end dreams of a touchdown. Kick it wide left to get nothing out of the drive. New Orleans stonewalled the Rams' offense for the entire first half. First time a McVay team's been shut out for 30 minutes. Yet it doesn't matter when the Saints just can't find a way ahead permanently. LA scores a touchdown on their first drive in the second half and it suffocates. The Aints in a nutshell. Everything in their power just to come up short. Unable to overcome the Rams' offensive menace. It finally showed up. Those final two drives, it was like there wasn't even a defense on the field. Yet there's one more issue to go over. New Orleans is trying to push to tie the game late. It's entirely predictable these days. Push down the field, get in the red zone, the standard kind of script. Then let the cards fall where they lie. A stalled drive. Stripped from them like a Derek Carr sack on 4th down. LA ripped their hearts out at the Superdome in 2019 and it happened again here. Just for entirely different reasons. The Saints just aren't good enough. The Rams have the better coaching game plan. And it showed with this gutsy performance. Yet for their desperately needed victory, we have suffered a terrible tragedy. New Orleans may have lost the game, but it pales to their real devastation. We've lost Taysom Football. His season is over. The Swiss Army knife has been broken by a low hit to the knees. They've barely started recovering from that moment. You just can't give them another immediately. It's that time of the year again. When the playoffs start to peek into the picture and we discuss the scenarios at hand. The NFC's a bit tighter. The Motor City currently leads the pack, but Philly's hot on their tail. The division ranks are pretty safe otherwise. Seattle and Atlanta hold claim to some very weak conferences this year. That means Minnesota and Green Bay have the potential to feast if the cards fall right for them. Washington got off a cold streak and comfortably hold the final seed in the meantime. At 6-6, the Bucks, Cardinals, and Rams still have a shot, especially in their divisions. Meanwhile, San Francisco, Dallas, and New Orleans are clinging on for dear life. And I mean it. There's been a lot of disappointment for teams this season, but there's still a chance they remembered the rules.
Don't get eliminated!
What do you get when you have a team that literally can't do anything on offense against a team undone by themselves? A total dumpster fire. The banner before the game was a harbinger of what was to come. Both these teams embraced the spirit of what Tank Bowl should be. Awful football, especially on the offensive side of things. The only rewards for the poor souls that drank themselves into a stupor in the parking lot are stalled drives and punting, especially by the Giants. And if New York can even do anything, it's undone by brutal penalties. Nolans may have a 14-3 lead, but that doesn't mean the agony can't continue. New York commits the horrible crime of making this a one-score game with a touchdown drive. So Tank enthusiasts are forced to pay attention to this monstrosity for the sake of draft position. You'd think it'd be over after Drew Lock gifting them a pick on 4th down. But I have horrible news for those of you that wanted an uneventful game. The Saints have to punt it back. But it's a final drive and the G-Men can't do shit with the ball, though. Oh no. Danger! Danger! The Giants are ruining their tank. I repeat, the Giants are trying to fuck up their quest for a new QB. Horsecock Lock has driven them down near the goal line. They are trying to tie the game with time winding down. God save us all.
Kreider the snap. Gillen the hold. The kick no good.
Whew, I was worried New York was going to try to win or something. Don't be sad, Giants fans. You're one step closer to Ward, Sanders, or Aller. That block was huge for the future. New Orleans can have the meaningless victory. They aren't doing shit with it anyway. Know how I know this? Derek Carr has a fractured non-throwing hand. Any extremely slim chance of going somewhere? It's got. Have fun. 1 month left. Get your tickets to the postseason ready now or be left out in the cold. We know the drill by now. The NFC's road is still undecided. Detroit stays ahead with a crucial win over Green Bay, but Philly and Minnesota are still hot on their tail. Thanks to Atlanta's catastrophic implosion, Tampa Bay has reasserted itself for the NFC South lead. The Seahawks still remain on top of the NFC West, but things could be getting shaky there with a loss on Thursday. A bye week for Washington maintains their 7th seed, yet rivals remain. The Rams and Niners won in. There's a chance the Falcons could get their shit together. Arizona could make miracles happen. Probably not, but you aren't out of the dance until you hear the dreaded words told to a few teams already. You know them by heart.
Don't get eliminated!
Call it a hunch, but I think it'd be wise for the commies to win this one. Derek Carr's in the shop, so New Orleans has to trust Jake Haener to do anything. Good luck with that. He rivals Ian Book. This pose is giving me Hollywood actor trying to throw a football in a movie vibes. And it's like a man trying to move a building. It won't budge. The Saints only had 38 yards of offense in the first half, their worst performance in over 20 years. Washington, with their high-flying offense and young star under center, jump out to a strong lead and don't look back. Well, at least that's how it should go, but there are two major issues. First, Haener was told to fuck off for the legend of Spencer Rattler. Secondly, the second half cliff is a very real phenomenon. The commies may have a 17-0 lead, but the offense will all but stall out from this point forward. That and we learn who the best QB on the Saints is right now. Cedric Wilson. Should have started him over Haener. In the process, Washington's offense shutters down to nothing, and the Saints slowly start to chip away at a lead thought insurmountable. A pair of field goals by Blake Grupe make it a one-score affair, and concern starts to set in. Mostly because the commies keep shooting themselves in the foot at every turn. But it can be stopped if Greg Joseph makes a field goal. Yeah, nobody's believing that one, it's no good. Now comes the part where the tension needs to be artificially manufactured. Even without Alvin Kamara, Nola's making easy work of this 2-minute drill. Rattler's leading the Saints offense to the red zone. This is a disaster for the commies. If they can't stop them with a few seconds left, it's panic time.
All right, here we go. Rattler throws, end zone, touchdown!
Oh Lord, DEFCON 1 is activated. New Orleans is going for 2 with a chance to win. Delusion's running wild for Mickey Loomis. Someone save them!
Rattler for the win. He throws, it's incomplete.
That's pretty on brand for the Saints. The opportunity to make something of yourselves, you cut off half the damn field with the QB rollout. Washington narrowly avoids the second half cliff in the process, but this should have never happened. The clock inexplicably stopped after the Moreau catch for a few seconds. This game should have been over before the QB spiked the ball. We nearly witnessed ref ball supreme and the Zebras just threw their hands up in the air and said, oops! Even the Saints got fucked by it on Akami's missed kick. Wait, that's actually the end of the quarter. Here's another kick! What a disgrace. Classic game manipulation by the NFL. Hope you enjoy the pissed off bettors who got screwed over in the process. 3 games remain. This week was critical in deciphering the playoff formulas, but it doesn't mean that we're anywhere close to a solution. The number 1 seed in the NFC is now a 3-way tie. The Lions still have control, but the Eagles and Vikings are hot on their tail and coming fast. Philly can also claim the NFC East with a win or Washington loss, but the Eagles aren't going to implode, right? The NFC North is a mosh pit, made even more so by the attrition on Detroit. Minnesota or Green Bay could easily take it. But the NFC South is Tampa's to lose. Hopefully they won't choke it away like Atlanta did. The NFC West is between Seattle and the Rams with the Cards and Niners on life support. This division probably gets settled with a Week 18 showdown. The wild cards are all but set and can be officially claimed if Green Bay wins and Washington wins and gets help. The NFC especially is going to be a ride moving forward. Get ready. These words are going to come in handy.
Don't get eliminated!
3 words. Belt to ass. Green Bay took a whipping boy and spanked their cheeks raw in what could be described as cheese curdling. Saints are down to a practice squad and the Packers are gunning for playoff glory. The result was pathetic. Can we simply sink the fleur-de-lis into the Gulf? They had a better showing when the COVID wave took out over 20 men. Josh Jacobs took out about as many players on his own tonight. A team slaughtered by wild beasts the moment they stepped onto the field. It was the first shutout of the season and it felt even worse than that. Remember when the Saints were 2-0? Remember that high-flying offense against weak defensive units? Oh, what a mirage those performances were. No blame injuries, but even without them, the Saints are a 9-8 team. Accept it. Kicking the can down the road has reached its dead end. The worst part is that they'll run it back again for the same shit.
Miss.
When a terrible team wins one game late in the year, it's devastating. When a terrible team goes on a winning streak late in the year, it's a wasted season. The Raiders had the number 1 pick in their sights, but for whatever reason, they unleashed anger at their team plane having mechanical issues the night before. An actual running game for Las Vegas? Now of all times? Fucking Amir Abdullah, a 10-year journeyman suddenly transformed into prime Marcus Allen with over 100 yards on the ground. The tanks are rolling, he and Brock Bowers are the landmines to blow it up. Bowers is an absolute beast on the field. So deadly, he set the rookie record for receptions and yards by a tight end. Under their might against a dead franchise, Las Vegas goes down to 8th in the lottery. There will most likely be no Project QB to ruin. Maybe they'll be like the Saints and pretend their failures are due to injuries. I think this might have been Cameron Jordan's last home game for them. He deserved better. What a shame. This pivotal matchup, the Buccaneers desperately need reinforcements. And the call has been answered. The Duck has returned. Can it play defense, perchance? They're down a bunch of men and Jordan Whitehead was in a serious car accident earlier in the week. Channeling their 4-game slump in the middle of the year, Tampa Bay is incredibly sluggish. Their battered defense isn't able to make any semblance of a stop. And they should feel lucky. If they faced a real offense, they'd be down by 20 early on. Not to mention the Bucs offense can't crack the end zone and are relegated to field goals. This is definitely not looking too good. And the Falcons can undo the collapse that put them in this spot. Okay, so this didn't mean anything at all. But then again, this is New Orleans. We're starting Spencer Rattler and featuring Jawan Johnson, MVS, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That means the Saints offense is going to do pretty much nothing, despite countless opportunities gifted to them. It was only a matter of time before the powers of the Duck would take hold. Baker was able to corral them. Under his gutsy and tenacious play, Tampa Bay gains control of their own destiny and leaves nothing to chance. The Saints must convert to the cult of Ducky under penalty of death. Oh, glorious day to fire cannons away into their enemies everywhere. As the comeback is more than complete, witness the great fruits of a wondrous revival. Mike Evans breaking the 1,000-yard receiving barrier for the 11th season. Do you remember the first 2 weeks of the season? Remember when people were crowning them as contenders because they beat up on a Mike Zimmer defense and the fucking Panthers? Reality smacked them across the face in short order. No matter the results, everyone must eventually pay the piper. The Saints have reached that point. Yet Mickey Loomis and company refuse to face this reality. They're just throwing shit at a wall hoping for another generational draft. Same script as in past years. Aging and injury-prone roster robbing them of their mid-tier potential, plus Dennis Allen. Why was Dennis still here? He's a generic Madden-generated coach. Of course he was awful as head honcho. So you have a team that has pretty much no future, is locked into said aging, injury-prone roster, and Loomis has diplomatic immunity. It's like Zion, except instead of food, the weakness is swallowing their pride. And they'll have to potentially do without Cam Jordan going forward. So, who's coaching this dying patient? Do you want to get fired in 3 years to play pretend with Mickey Loomis and a team on the brink of tanking? A bunch of candidates simply said, nah, we're good. Even Clint Kubiak's jumping ship since he sees the writing on the wall. Kellen Moore has the chance to do the most hilarious thing after the Super Bowl. New Orleans is a death sentence for a coaching career? I, for one, am shocked.